I recently came across a video titled "The Day Gen Z Got Cursed," and it had the date January 26, 2020 in big block letters in the thumbnail picture. Now this instantly caught my attention because that's my birthday. January 26, 2020 was the day I turned 14 years old, and I also obviously remember Kobe dying on that day. And that was the reason for the date in the video. He was tying the death of Kobe to a cultural shift and a sort of point of no return for an entire generation. And I can remember exactly what I was doing on this day. I was playing Madden franchise mode and I was on the phone with a girl I liked at the time. And I remember she actually broke the news to me that Kobe died, and I remember a lot of people freaking out about it, which wasn't really the case for me. I love basketball and have been watching ever since I was like 6 years old, but Kobe was never one of my favorite players, and he was on his way out by the time I was a fan of the NBA. This memory that this video brought up for me made me think about other scenarios like that, where the person was actually someone who I had some sort of parasocial bond with. And before I continue, I want to say that typically there are negative connotations with that word. But the reality is, I feel like every piece of art that resonates with somebody is going to be explained this way. The art is making you feel happy, understood, sad, or angry the way the creator probably was while making whatever it was they were trying to make. Now, the next place this brought me was to Etika. Etika was a YouTuber from New York City who was known for gaming and specifically Nintendo games, according to the internet. And he ended up taking his life on June 19th, 2019. And this is something that didn't hit me extremely hard when it happened. I was in middle school and I wasn't a fan of him at the time. I do remember, however, one of my close friends at the time telling us that he died and that he was upset about it. Like, the news definitely got to me when it happened, but it wasn't something gut-wrenching at the time. Say all this to say, the older I get and the more I know about his story, the more it absolutely destroys me. It's so easy for me to see so much of myself in him. The fact that we're both from New York, and the fact that his body was found in the East River, and how much he loved games, and the fact that he was looking for an escape through the internet. One of the most admirable things, though, was that when I see clips of Etika, I think he was unapologetically himself, even if it backed himself in a corner. And I'm the same way. I'll never pretend to like something I don't, just cause if there's one thing I've always been sure of, it's my interests, even if I may not be sure if I want to keep living also like Etika. The next date I want to talk about is exactly 1 year after the death of Kobe and my 14th birthday, which is January 26, 2021. On this day, one of my favorite musicians ever passed away, Six Dogs. If you don't know who Six Dogs was, he was a rapper from the suburbs of Georgia who blew up in the SoundCloud era. The first I ever heard of him was probably when the YouTube channel Starry posted a music video for his song Flossing, and by the time I was 14, he was one of my favorite artists. It was probably either him or Chief Keef. But the reason I love Six Dogs' music is the same reason I've become more and more disturbed by Etika's story as I've gotten older. The way his music told his life story and what he was going through and thinking, I think, was so upfront, and he just overall did such a good job of it. The beats that sounded like he was floating off opioids, and the lyrics about how isolated and lonely he was, while also keeping that hint of drill-like aggression for the world that a lot of times that type of pain causes you to have. The day that he died is another where I can remember exactly what I was doing. I was in online school my freshman year of high school, and I saw the news on the internet. And I remember telling one of my friends that also listened to his music what had happened. And honestly, I wasn't that surprised. If you listen to his music, you could kind of see this coming. But I want to say that the closer I get to this dude's age, the scarier it becomes. And when I think about it, it's like losing your big brother in a parasocial sort of way. Because now I'm at that age that they were, and they're not here anymore. And as an only child that I can just say didn't have the greatest guidance from parents growing up, people that you identify with can become incredibly important. On a lighter note, I feel like on one hand you could argue that Etika and Six Dogs escaped. Etika specifically was driven crazy by his chat and the internet in general, and to think how much more digital the world is since 2019, I mean, things have only gotten worse in that regard. And similar things goes for Six Dogs. I think part of what drove him to the edge in the end was living up to the expectations that people online had for him. To end this video, I want to say I think these two people were ahead of their time when it comes to this internet shit, and I feel like they could sense where things were headed in the 2020s and wanted no part of it.